How's it going, pirates? I'm so very sorry with the delay with this week's episode of the Weekly Whip, but here it is. And without further ado, let's dive into this. Cue that intro. How's it going, pirates? And welcome to another episode of the Weekly Whip, episode 11. I've got some action figures to show off, some that you've seen before, and some that are brand new customs. I also have a custom that I started a little while ago that I want to show off, and that big custom that I promised last week to show you this week, I'm postponing that to next week. And that's mainly because of my trade between galaxies with Rad Toys Galaxy and some Gweeblies that I got in there that I want to use in the custom before I show it off. But oh my goodness, it's going to be awesome. First up, we have Marshall Quellish May. This is actually the second version of the character that I've made. The very first one went over to Starboy Station because he is the one who originally came up with their name as part of a contest that I put out on my very first live stream with Rad Toys Galaxy. This character is actually a slight different version, so an alternate version, and because she's different, there are two of the same character in the universe. This one's slightly older. She has a different arm, a different hairstyle, and a different vest. Most of this will be explained in her backstory that I'm working on right now, which the beginning of their stories is pretty much the same, but then after the wormhole malfunction, there was a slight altercation in the universe that created two versions of that character. And I'll be going into that detail in her backstory once I get that completed. So she's made up from a figure from the Battle of the Stars, a Joy Toy figure. You should be seeing the character on screen now. That's what the figure initially looked like, and these are the changes that I've made to her. So as you can see, I gave her a vest, I gave her a hat, and I also gave her a robotic arm. She still has her ponytail, however, I had to lower it on her head because of the fact that I wanted her to wear this hat. I think it came out pretty good. You guys can let me know in the comments down below. And next up, we have my avatar. So as I said last week, I was going to make some slight modifications to his helmet. And as you can see, I painted that middle stripe at the center of his helmet, so that way it actually matches his armor. I've also added a greebly on his shoulder just to give him a little bit more of an aesthetic look. I've added two holsters so that he can store his weapons. And that's about all I've done so far. He's still a work in progress, as there's still a few things that I need to touch up on him, like some paint applications that may have been not too clean that I have to clean up on his helmet. I also have to clean up some of the paint on his legs, as there was a holster there before and I removed it and it did some damage to the paint, so I have to kind of touch that up. But I think he looks pretty cool. You guys can let me know in the comments down below. Next up, we have Captain Drin. He's actually the leader of the recon infiltration team for the Edgepoint Security Forces. So as you can see, he's an elf, well, half elf, half human. And on his shoulder, I've added a clone trooper pauldron, painted it gold to give it some of that regal aesthetic. And he has a ponytail, which actually comes from the braid of the Valkyrie figure that I used last week. I used her legs anyways from last week on the Catwoman figure that I made, the custom from Zilla's Custom that I've received in a trade with him. So yeah, so his head has the braid, and just to show you what he looks like when he's wearing his helmet, that's so you can distinguish who he is on the battlefield, I kept the braid. I'm going to show you guys that in just 1 second. And here he is with his helmeted head. As you can see, I kept the braid. And I was actually influenced by the female version of this figure and decided, hey, why not? It looks cool. You guys can let me know in the comments down below. So again, this is Captain Drin, and he's the leader of the recon infiltration team for the Edgepoint Security Forces. Next up, we have Commander Rala Doragas. She's actually a red orc, and she's the third member of the recon infiltration team and second in command of the team. As you saw last week, I put her together. Basically, she's made up of a boss fight figure, a Fortnite figure, and a Joy Toy figure. The armor is from the Joy Toy figure, and even a Star Wars figure. Her weapon is from Star Wars. But last week I said I was going to make some additions to her, and I've added a knife sheath to her leg. I've also added 2 new gauntlets to her arms, painted them blue, and also a gun holster that has a little bit of armor on it. And so all her pieces of armor are painted in that metallic blue, the same color as Marshal Quellish May, just so that way it's more unified in terms of the edge point security forces. They wear some version of baby blue. And next up we have Hal. Hal was formerly just an AI computer software, but he has now been upgraded and downloaded into this droid body. So this droid is actually made up of a few figures. The body itself is made up from Carbide. That's a character from the Fortnite video game. The head is made up of a BD-1 Black Series droid that's been repainted, and his forearms are actually from a Terminator 4-inch figure. Has limited articulation, but hey, I thought it looked pretty cool. So if you want to see his backstory, just check him out on my Instagram page along with Dwayne's backstory, as they're a team. So he's part of the Recon Infiltration team, and he's actually the computer expert of the team. Now there is a fifth member of the team, but unfortunately I have not yet received that figure. She's actually the female version of these figures in the background here. But yeah, so Hal is one of the members of the team as well. I am Groot. So we have a Groot here with 2 different body parts. So the darker brown is from the comic book version of the Guardians of the Galaxy, which you should be seeing on the screen now. At least he's from the 5-pack that I'm showing off on screen. And the lighter brown is from the most recent Guardians of the Galaxy action figure line. And as you can see, they look pretty good together. It obviously has to be repainted so it unifies the entire look, but I think he actually looks pretty cool. And again, you guys can let me know in the comments down below. So those are the action figure customs that I've worked on this week. Some, as I said, are brand new, and some you saw last week, but I just did some touching up to them. And now I'm going to show you a custom that I started a little while ago that I still have to finish up, but I think is actually coming along really nicely, and you guys can let me know in just a moment.
A few moments later.
So here's a special addition to the Weekly WIP episode 11. It's called the Silverhawk. And yes, it's an homage to the Silverhawk cartoon. It's made up of 2 different vehicles. The back end ailerons here and the wings on the side, these are actually from the Hasbro Quinjet, which you should be seeing on screen right now. And then the rest of this is made up of the Hasbro Delta 7, the Obi-Wan Kenobi Delta 7. I believe it's a Delta 7B, I'm not sure. As this is the one that you can put a droid in the front section of it. And then this portion here is actually from a DC Multiverse action figure, like those collect and build action figure lines. This was actually supposed to be part of the Batman's grappling gun. So I took that section off, which is the barrel. I took that off and I added it and made it part of this vehicle so that it's I believe I can say it's the hyperdrive, a modified hyperdrive, as these ships didn't have hyperdrive engines. So I've added this here. Now it's not yet glued on to the back section here because of the fact that there's still some greeblies that I want to add to it. So on the side, there's a big hole. Let me see if I can show you guys that. So as you can see here, there's a hole right here on the side. So I'm going to cover that up. I want to also add some wiring to it as well. And then for these wings, I'm going to be I already started by putting some magnets here. I just have to add some magnets to this end here so that this can actually stay into place like that. So once I put the magnets, I can actually have it in 2 different configurations. These will be for when it's flying in atmosphere flight, to give it a little bit more stability in the air. That's what those wings are going to be used for. So it's supposed to be a really fast ship. It's going to be part of the Edge Point Security Forces, I guess air defense or a starfighter defense corps. It's obviously going to be repainted. I want to add some metallic blue to it as well. hopefully that I can start doing by next week. So you guys can let me know what you guys think of this and all the other customs that I had this episode of the weekly whip. Thank you so much for stopping by. Be sure to check out my video, which is the trade between galaxies. That should also be posted right now. So go check that out as well. Again, give this video a like if you've liked what you've seen. Subscribe if you're brand new, and be sure to share this with anyone you think might enjoy this. It'll definitely help the channel out, and I would greatly appreciate it. Anyways, that's all I have for you guys this week. I'll see you guys next time. Take care, pirates.